this is close to home and close to heart for me because I've considered myself a social activist for close to 6 years now. And there seems to be a rising movement of social justice orthodoxy, we can call it. And it got popularized on college campuses in the United States, but it's becoming more and more mainstream. And there's certain features that it has. They rely very heavily on like an identity politics worldview and intersectionality. Now, there's benefits to identity politics and these concepts, but it's really taken to in an extreme place where it makes it hard to work with. And let me kind of explain what that means. So one of the features of this new orthodoxy we're seeing in social justice movements is in unwillingness to have a conversation. It's bend the knee or you become canceled. Now, it's interesting that this is born out of the left, but it's not liberal in its nature. It's authoritarian to approach life like that, to not be willing to engage in conversation with people with differing opinions. Now, many people, more and more people are ascribing to this ideology because it empowers them. If you come from an oppressed group, this ideology is giving you empowerment and tools that you can now use your identity. Your identity, in a sense, becomes weaponized. You can use your identity to an advantage where you've been at a disadvantage. So we can see why it has an appeal. Now, I think many people I think that there's a silent majority that kind of sees this movement amongst the social justice movement, and they're concerned. They don't agree with it, but the implications of speaking out is to get canceled, to just get berated either in person or on social media. This is a very real reality that many people face. What I would suggest, and I'm not in a college campus setting, but what I would attempt to do is just try to engage in conversation despite them not being willing to conversate, but also try to awaken that silent majority, because that silent majority exists. Try to appeal to the people who are not speaking up, to create a new movement. And it's very important to be able to compete with this movement is that you need to speak to the same concerns they are, and that is social justice. You need to speak to the concerns of oppressed people. Most people speaking against this new orthodoxy we're seeing are not coming from a place of social justice. They're sitting on the sidelines and criticizing a movement to make the world better. They don't have legitimacy when they're sitting on the sidelines. So we need to come from a place of, we are working to elevate humanity. That's what we're doing. We're here to elevate humanity. But we don't agree with the approach you're taking, but we're willing to engage in dialogue and see which approach is best. And I think that's really the way to combat it. It's not to ridicule them. It's not to ignore them. It's to come with a better approach. And I think this approach is needed not just on college campuses, but in activism all around the world. It's an approach that I myself am starting to take and talk more about. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this one. And I'm going to dedicate a lot more time to this issue, what it means to be a social activist, and how we keep the concept of social activism as elevating humanity, not pitting people against one another, and not canceling people for having different opinions, because that's not how you make the world a better place.